Welcome to the Allured Life podcast. My name is Katie Christ, and in 2016, I wrote down in a journal that I was going to become unapologetically my best self. And my purpose is to help women do the same, whether that's overcoming body image issues, creating next level inner confidence, or up-leveling our emotional intelligence and sense of worth. I believe that by investing in and developing who we are, we can exponentially transform the world we live in. My mission is to create power and influence in the hands of women. These are conversations for those ready to rise. This is the Allured Life podcast. Let's go all in. Hello, and welcome to the Allured Life podcast. So if you are watching this on the YouTube, I am rocking somewhat some red lipstick today. I really want to be a red lipstick person. I really want to be. And I'm recording this on Zoom. And so I'm just like looking at myself talking and I'm like noticing my lips are just out. They're there. So I'm seeing my lips. I really want to, like, if you nail red lipstick, let me know your secrets. I know for sure. I think the one thing that I need to do is have lip liner. Because I feel like when I put red lipstick on, it just looks like I took a crayon and I'm like a child and just went bloop, 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 bloop. Because it just like it makes my mouth around it like red. And then I have to take concealer and then go and like, not even, it's like powdered concealer. I go and put powdered concealer around like where the red's at because it's like touch up. It's like a magic eraser. But I really want to own wearing red lipstick. There was one woman that I know. She was one of the coaches' wives, and she had the best red lipstick. And I think she told me it's the lip liner. It's a lip liner. But I'm also trying to. And this is where I want to be able to like get the right red color. So I almost feel like I should probably go into Sephora, and just be like, help me. Help me. But anyways, I am sitting here. I've got my red lipstick on. I have my new favorite sweater, which is I'm really into the turtlenecks right now. I'm really into the turtlenecks. And this one is actually a sleeveless turtleneck. So it was like 70 degrees in October this month or this year for some reason, odd reason in Wisconsin. So I was like, still fall vibe, but it's warm out. So perfect. So when this podcast comes out, it is going to be the week of when I turn the big 30, the dirty 30. I am not a birthday person for myself. I am a birthday person for other people. I love celebrating other people's birthdays. I love celebrating other people. For me, I'm just like, okay. But I'm trying to, this one's big. It's 30. It's the big 30. So with this podcast, I thought it would be fun I actually wrote this in my notes at the end of September, beginning of October, of some podcasts that have inspired me. And then I wanted to almost not repurpose them, but I wanted to take the content and then just add what I've learned, add a little bit more of feminine energetics, embodiment practices, confidence, body image stuff. Mostly, I would say the feminine energetics, the energetics piece to so much of this. When I started my personal development journey, so much of it was from, and I'm noticing now that I'm learning more about feminine energetics, I was really attracted to a lot of masculine-based personal development, masculine-based, results-based driven, and even to actually rereading it now, I'm just like, hey, there is some feminine energetics in here, but it's masked by masculine. So individuals like Brendon Burchard, I love Brendon Burchard. Actually, past September, I went to, it was a coaching summit and it was hosted by him. He did an amazing job. If you're in the coaching industry, I highly recommend going just to meet other individuals and then just be kind of in the same room as Brendon and kind of feel his energy. So this Tony Robbins, I feel like a lot of it was Tony Robbins, Lewis Howes, Ed Milet, men, right? The one person that I did follow pretty heavily was Rachel Hollis. And she, again, I think she kind of was in this space where you're kind of taking the rhetoric of personal development that's been out there. John Maxwell, that's another one. Forgot about him. Jay Shetty. I'm looking at my bookcase right now. Wayne Dyer, that's who I was looking for. So actually I would actually pair, so Wayne Dyer, very much into energetics. Rachel Hollis, kind of a mesh of embodying woman personal development, but still in the same type of rhetoric as Ed Milet, as Brendon Burchard, as Tony Robbins, kind of the structure, this masculine, this to do. So roll tangent, coming back to it. I listened to a podcast from Brendon Burchard, and it was called The 5 Rules of Life. So I thought it would be fun just to go and talk about, okay, what do I feel like, and what are my thoughts around his 5 rules of life? Where would I add to it? Where do I agree with it? And I actually wrote in my journal, these are 5 daily rules of life. And since I'm turning 30, I feel like I've been doing this personal development work. I've been in this industry for a couple of years now. I think I know a thing or two. At least when I was 20-year-old Katie, 25-year-old Katie, even 27-year-old Katie, 28, like those younger years in your 20s, I feel like I know some stuff to tell you. I really do. And even if you're listening to this and you're above 20s, you're like, oh, Katie, you think you have some wise wisdom. I think I do. I really do. And I think this will be, if anything, and as always, with all personal development, it's not me telling you, this is the way to do it. Follow me. I am the guru. I am the authority figure. I want it to be you listening into this, and it's a remembrance. It's a remembrance of the things that maybe you've just forgotten, or the things that maybe you just haven't held some intentionality around, versus me being like, I know everything, listen to me and follow me, and you know nothing and you're a chicken nugget. Like, squawk. It's not the case. That's not the case whatsoever. No, I just want to have fun with this. Let's dive into what Brendon Burchard, who is huge in the personal development space, says are the 5 rules of life. And let's check in and see, are we doing these? Because if we just have to follow 5 rules, that doesn't seem that hard. Yet sometimes we don't do the simple things that make all the difference. So let's dive into the 5 rules of life. Let's do my first edit. My first edit is with the title, and I would say these are the 5 daily rules of life. This is stuff that we need to start to be intentional with daily. It's just adding it in as a practice. And I am going to be sipping on some more tea because last podcast episode, I was coughing up a storm. So if you hear me pause and sip, that is why. Okay. So the first rule of life, have vision for your life. So who do you want to become? Have vision, have clarity, have focus of the type of person that I want to become. Simple as that is just reminding yourself every single day, where am I going? Who do I want to become? What is your dream? Where do you want to go in your life? At the end of your life, where do you want to focus in on? So these are the things that I want to have meaning, like finding clarity. Clarity was the biggest focus. So, and I talk about this quite often, and this is definitely something that, again, I think this is not an uncommon thing of just like, have vision, have ambition for your life. If this is a rule, what are the constructs around it? And so this is where I'd like to dive a little bit deeper. So again, I added on, these are daily rules. So it's a practice, it's a rule for me to ask myself daily, who am I? And I ask it as like, who do I want to be at this stage of my life? At this stage, who am I and where am I going? I talk a lot about context with women. I talk a lot, like, because what I don't like is just, and even where I dive deeper is when we're like, I'm striving to become this. This is my goal version of me. And then we go back to our daily lives and we go back to our daily habits and we just kind of do the same thing over and over and over again. Versus what is the context of how I'm going to view this day? Where's the context of what I'm going from? The context is just a different way of doing things. Versus, like, there's a different way of you walking by. Let's let's say, like, I came up, okay, I don't know why this is like the first thing, but walking is a funny one for me. If I'm walking, but if I see a guy on the street or if I see, I mean, right now it'd be my husband. But if I see a person in a store who's really, really cute, how I would walk by him would be different if I'm walking to go to the bathroom because I'm going to pee my pants. Like, I'm going to pee my pants. There's a different context of how I go about that I'm doing the same action. I'm walking. I'm strutting my stuff, just being like, hello. I don't know if I ever did this, to be honest. Like, did I walk differently when I walked by Ron? I don't know. I think I was more just aware of myself. But okay, let's say there's a different context of how I'm eating with Ryan on my first date, or with when I met Ryan's parents. There was a different way that I ate versus when I am so hungry and I just like need the sandwich. I just like gobble, gobble, gobble. There's a different context. So this is where it's when you have vision for your life, truly think of contacts, just like try to pair those together. Context is a different lens that you view life through. Vision, context. You see what I did there? Just to make it a little bit easier. It's like you're asking yourself, what is the context of who I'm becoming? The vision of where I'm going. Because that's another thing. And I talk about this in I've talked about this in 90 Day Slay. I've talked about this in Invested, the Resolution Rebellion, when I'm and the mid-year, my mid-year program as well, halftime. Talk about this all the time. It's creating a context that for the goals that you want to have happen for this year, or the vision that you have for your life, who do you have? What's a word or a phrase or a focus that would help? If you followed that, if you looked at life through that lens, would help you stay on track with that. So for me, for this past year, my context was iconic. So it was every single day, I was just asking myself, okay, the vision of where my life I want to go, there's a lot. There's a lot. And what I love context about is that it kind of brings it into focus a little bit. Remember, focus, context, 2020 vision, just this makes sense in my brain. It's like you have this grand vision for your life, then put your context in so you can focus on, like, what's the one thing that if you focus on this, it would get you a step closer. And for me, for 2023, it was being iconic. So it was a daily, and I'm still getting, like, this is a practice, a daily practice of reminding myself of my context and viewing the day from that, because my context is in alignment with my vision for more of my life. And it's a daily reminder of being intentional, And it's also a daily reminder of just any of the hardships that were coming up, or any of the things that I didn't want to, I just didn't want to show up for. Sometimes I'd be like, okay, I have to record a podcast. And I'm like, this isn't good enough. I talked about that last week where I was just like, it's that perfectionism in us, this thing that muddles with our confidence of who we're being. The context reminds you of this is the version that you said you're going to step into, and it reminds you how to do that by just bringing it into today. So I love that. I love this focus. And this is also in the podcast episode and I'll link the podcast episode below if you want to listen to Brendon Burchard talk about this. But he talked about how having vision for your life, this vision doesn't just land on you. There needs to be diligence with there. So there needs to be diligence of just like people always would say, not even people would always say, but it's almost like I don't have a vision for my life, or I don't know what I want in this life. I don't know what to dream about. And it's not just going to hit you over the head. Sometimes it does, but a lot of the times it's like we have to kind of keep fine-tuning this vision, and keep holding this vision for your life as if it's true, even though it hasn't happened for you. That's another piece of this ambition aspect, is this vision is just, it's not a wish, right? It's not saying I have a dream for your life. It's have vision. And vision is something that you can see. And if you can see it, you can have it. I inherently believe that. I don't think, so I believe in God. I don't know what you believe, but I don't think God would ever put in my heart a desire or a want that he didn't think that I was able to have. I don't think God's that cruel, to be honest. I really don't. And if in my heart, or if there's a desire that I want to have this level of health, that I want to have this relationship, that I want to have this type of a career, I really don't think that God would just place this like want and this need and this desire in me to just fuck with me. Be like, oh, I'm just going to put this here and it's going to torment the crap out of you. And I don't believe either that the opposite side has put that in me either. I really, like, I don't think the devil placed this desire in me. I really don't. I don't. Because I know I'm a godly like woman. I don't. So I won't even bother with that part of the conversation. But this is where I don't believe that anything that comes into our heart where we're like, I want this, I don't think we aren't able to get it. I don't. So little caveat. But this is where, again, it's this comment of vision doesn't land on you. It needs diligence. You need to become a seeker of your vision, and a seeking out of it is taking action. It's looking for it. It's creating this line, and it's every single day to become more aligned and disciplined to live into this vision. That's what Brendon said. It's live every single day to become more aligned and disciplined to live into this vision. So that's the rule. The rule of daily living is to have a vision and be disciplined to live into this vision. That's context. Context is saying, okay, this is what I want. And I like what the reason why I like having a context a little bit deeper, and again, I teach this in Invested, is looking and like I'll teach this with any one-on-one client, but it's looking at your past and looking in hindsight. What are the lessons learned? Don't look back into I should have done this better, I should have done that, because we do that so much. And then we set ourselves up just to repeat patterns because we're not learning the lesson. So it's extract the gold, get out all, and this is what I do for the new year. It's look back at the last year, what worked, what didn't work, what were the lessons, take the lessons, and then say, okay, for this year, for the ambitions, for the vision that I have for this year, these are the lessons that I learned from last year. What kind of context would hold all those lessons? So that this is just reminding me of just an empowering and making it so much stronger of a way to keep walking towards this vision versus just putting up a goal and you're hitting it or you're not, or you're losing momentum and you're like struggling to show up. And this is just not a productive way to live into having vision for your life. So that's what I would add for the first rule. Have vision for your life. And adding in this piece of context, which is basically the same thing. It's just diving a little bit deeper. So number 2 is believe in your ability to figure things out. We all have to have this. This is a non-negotiable. This trust and this faith that you are going to figure it out. That there's going to be a better tomorrow. to honor the struggle and move through it. And I talked about this in 2 episodes ago. Episode 45, Overcoming Obstacles, so the self-leadership in challenging times. I talked about this 3-step, super simple process of building up your confidence and building up your capability of self-leadership and building up your capability of leadership. And the first is starting. The second is taking action and going again, taking action, learning, going again, taking action, learning, going again. And the third stage is the results. And the most horrendous and awful and like struggling and you're like, what the heck is going on? Is that you are in stage 2 of going again, trying, going again, learning, trying, going again, learning, trying, going again, learning, trying, until you just get the result. There is no do this X amount of times and then you get the result. It's you're in it until you're not. It's frustrating as hell, but this is where it's like, what would life look like if your rule of life was, I believe I'm going to figure this out. I believe I'm going to figure this out. What would life look like if that was your truth? If I embodied this in my early 20s, I would have, my little tears, I would have saved a lot of tears, a lot of frustration, a lot of panic attacks, anxiety attacks. Even I just remember, and I was actually just doing like a yoga about releasing and letting go this morning. I'm like kind of trying to get into some somatic healing. We'll see. I'll let you know how that goes. I just started. But one of the things that came up was I was in child's pose, and it was this, and when I was a kid, I was the worst at, what was it, pre-algebra? And it was 8th grade pre-algebra. Any math, really. Once they started adding letters in, I was a goner. I truly do. And look it up. I think the math anxiety is a thing. Ryan actually, and I still do this. And Ryan just made fun of me. He saw my computer and I was using the calculator and there was a 3. He was like, I don't think I've ever seen like such a low number on a calculator. What were you like looking up? But when I was in 8th grade, I remember getting so frustrated at how long it was taking me to do the math homework. I punched my wall over and over and over and over again. Because I don't even know if it was for me wanting, like, you know when you're in your like middle school age and it's just like everything is awful and you're just like, and this was when too, like, all the emo punk rock was a big thing that I was listening to, so it was like cool to be like, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if it was that. I don't know if it was, I just wanted to like get my frustration out, and I didn't know if I can handle the pain of the disappointment that I was experiencing in myself. So it was a way for me to kind of feel pain elsewhere. But this is just this learned belief of your ability to figure things out. It's not something that's ingrained in us. So this is where, if it's a rule of your life that I figure things out. Another way that I like to look up at this is this concept of, and again, I got this actually when I was at the coaching summit, was this vision beyond. The vision beyond the problem. And this is why the first rule is so important, is have a vision for your life. It's because a lot of the times we go, and it's so easy too. We get sucked in so easy into the one problem. The one, like, it's like we're playing chess, and the chess piece, you put a chess piece one place, and then who you're playing against is the universe. They played another part, and you're like, oh, what? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And we, instead of having the belief, like, we put ourselves in this game. We're playing. We're in the game right now. We're gonna be okay. We're in the game. You're either gonna become a better chess player or you're going to beat this motherfucker MF right now. And you're going to get the result. You're in stage 2 right now. Figure it out, go again. Figure it out, try again, go again. You're in this game of chess. You made a move. The universe, like there was then the world, the universe, God, whatever you believe, something happened that like put a piece where you're like, oh, wait a minute, that was my strategy. What's going on here? If you don't like chess, let's do checkers or Connect 4. You either then learn from the mistake, but still go again. We're in stage 2. You still go again. You start another game, or you try another strategy, or you know how to beat that. But you chose to be in this game. So have belief like you're going to figure this out. It's just about being in stage 2. You're just in stage 2. Vision beyond. Remember this one, vision beyond the problem. What would that be? Vision beyond. Okay, I was just going to try to come up with a fun acronym, but VBP? BP. Actually, is that a common thing? BP is a gas station, right? Let's do that. BP. You're stopping for gas beyond the problem. We're filling up our tank. Vision beyond the problem. BP. Stopping at gas. Getting some gas right now. I just made that one up. We'll see if that one sticks in my mind. This is also a concept that I think would really fit into this second rule, is my whole belief about taking radical self-responsibility. Great women take radical self-responsibility. They do not blame, shame, or fault. And the key here is they do not blame, shame, or fault themselves because they have a belief in their ability to figure it out. They take radical responsibility. Another phrase that I like to use is, if I have manifested this, then what do I want to do with this? It's almost like the same phrasing of having a vision beyond the problem. It's all right. This is in my life. What do I want to do about this? Radical self-responsibility. I go first. I have to figure this one out. I'm going to figure this one out. Versus just blaming or shaming or faulting ourselves, getting in this woe is me or this victim mindset. That's not doing us any favors. It's really not. It's keeping us stuck. It's keeping us from moving forward. It's keeping us from moving and walking in our context. And this is also another reason why I love having a context. It's like when you have something that does come up that is a problem or that is frustrating or is overwhelming or is like, you say, okay, my context is to live in like be iconic this year, Katie. Okay, being iconic. What is iconic, Katie? What does she do in this moment? Vision beyond. The belief that you can figure this out. It's just holding. And this is why I added on. It's not just the 5 rules of life. This is the 5 daily rules of life, because not everybody thinks like this. And so there is a level of intentionality of a practice that we need to put into place, almost like a sacred practice of walking with these rules every single day and reminding ourselves of these rules every single day. Okay, so number 3. So number 3 is to have fun on this journey. So even the sucky things, it's Brendon Burchard uses this phrase, bring the joy. And it's all about just I'm going to be proactive about my focus instead of just like moving through life. This is where I would add to this is having fun is emotions compound. Emotions compound. This is true. This is the truth. This is like, you can't negate this one. When you're experiencing an emotion, whether good or bad, whatever emotion you're experiencing, it tends to have a compounding effect. If you're happy, it'll compound into like more happiness emotions. It'll compound into joy, ecstatic, excited. I should look up more terms for joy. the way we don't actually, when we experience joy, fulfillment, happiness, it's one of those days where you're just like, I was just in such a good mood and everything was good that happened. We never, when we experience that, we never actually say, oh, I did a good job at compounding the good emotions. But when we have a bad day, isn't it true? Like once one bad thing happens, it's like everything bad happens. And a lot of the times anger leads to, like, sadness leads to anger, anger leads to rage, rage leads to like this disappointment in ourselves. It's this compounded effect that happens when we experience emotion. Mostly, usually, I guess I should generalize because it's not always, but this is mostly the truth for so many people. Emotions compound. Have you ever been sad for no reason, and then you get mad at yourself for being sad at no reason, and then you get angry, even more angry with yourself, and then you get frustrated with yourself, and then you get even more sad because you're like, I just ruined my whole day. It happens. Check in with yourself. Emotions compound. So this is where if we know this, if we're like, okay, I know and I acknowledge that emotions compound, so it's so important then for me to be like, okay, let's have fun on this journey. Because if I am stuck into the problem so much, and if I'm so focused on this and my negative emotions, where am I gonna go? What's gonna happen here? There's also another thing that I've learned and I love, and this I learned from Melanie Ann Layer. Again, guys, I was in a container for her for over a year. So that's where, like, there was a lot of information. So that's why she is so heavily influential, because I've been studying her the past year. But she talks about how we have right now, when we are going for that vision beyond, having a vision for your life. Right now, this vision for your life, this ambition, this context, it has not happened yet, right? If it's your vision, it hasn't happened. It's not your reality just yet. And so because it hasn't happened, there is two options of what's going to occur. Maybe yes, it's going to happen, or maybe no. Right now, we don't know for 1,000% fact, 100% guarantee. It's not 100% guarantee that this will happen or it won't happen. So it's a 50-50 shot, right? If it hasn't happened and it hasn't not happened, there's a 50% chance it will happen, and there's a 50% chance it won't happen. If our emotions are neutral about our vision for our life. If we are neutral, if we're neither excited or happy or leaning towards the belief that maybe, yes, this will happen, like holding on to that, if we're neither that nor this isn't going to happen, we're just neutral. Yet our emotions dictate what's most likely going to happen when we're in the negative emotions of this. I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm frustrated. I'm disappointed. This isn't happening as fast as it. Compound emotion. But not only is it a compounded emotion towards something that we don't want to experience, that'll stress us out or bog us down or lower our energy from actually taking the strides forward, it's also putting the deck of cards into our, like, we're betting on maybe, no, this isn't going to happen. Versus, can we have the diligence to say, let me gear my emotions. Can I guide my emotions so that I'm putting my hand in the maybe yes, just a little, even if it's just 1%. Just the one little like step above neutral. Can I do that? Can I hold that? And just that gives the energy of the maybe yes, this is going to happen. It's going to come just a little bit more, right? Because again, when we're going into the confidence loop, into the leadership role, leadership is just us leading ourselves to take action, right? It's not just about influencing other individuals to take action or to do things a certain way or to believe in a certain way. The first person you're ever guiding is yourself. So if you're leading yourself towards this vision of your life, this ambition, and you're in the stage 2 until you have the results, until this vision became your reality. If you're in the stage 2, what better way to keep going than having the 51% chance or the above 50 of maybe, yes, this is going to work, versus so many of us just ping pong back and forth of maybe yes, this is going to work. Oh, maybe no, it's not going to work. Maybe yes, maybe no. Maybe yes, maybe no. And this is where the ping pong of just like, and this is where we get burnt out. Burnt out isn't just coming from taking action. Burnt out is just overthinking. It takes a lot of effort to go from, I don't think this is going to happen, to, okay, I have to train my brain to think that this is going to happen. It takes a lot. It takes so much more effort. So can we just consciously start to create the emotions of maybe yes, maybe yes, maybe yes, maybe yes. That was a big one. That was a big one. And this is definitely to my younger self, is this generating your emotions to the maybe yes is the most important thing for you to focus on. Stop feeling like you have to know more information. Stop feeling like you have to push harder. Stop looking outside of yourself to keep going, and go and focus on your emotion and figure out how to get yourself to the 51%. At worst case scenario, can you when you're in your 50, when you're going in the maybe no, how do you neutralize yourself? Can you figure that out? Which I have. Gratitude, guys. Gratitude. That's the somatic healing as well too. Get yourself into the neutral zone and then go, because that's where it's the brain power is so overwhelming to go from maybe no to jump up to maybe yes, and your brain is just like bullshit. This is just affirmations you're just throwing around that does not make any sense. I don't even believe them. You can't trick your brain when you're like BS, like bullshit brain is going on. When you're in the maybe no zone, your bullshit, like alarm is just, or a scanner is like, anything to scan that we are not going to be in the maybe no, I will detect. Like any positive thinking, nope, we're gonna just like zip that one. So it's like almost impossible, and just not to like, this is why affirmations, I feel like they only work when you're in the 50% of maybe yes, or to get yourself from the neutral to the 50% of maybe yes. When you're in the 50% of maybe no, affirmations are just like, all right, cool. Crystals are just like, all right, come on. That's why personal development gets such a bad rep sometimes, I think, and such a like, oh, this is a load of horse shit. It's because a lot of people are in the 50% of, they don't have this belief in themselves because they haven't adopted, number 2, the belief in your ability to figure things out, and they haven't been diligent about having a vision for your life. It's the sad truth, but it's the reality. So, okay, let's go on to number 4. So number 4 is be patient, yet persistent. So what I liked that Brendon talked about is that is it not true that the worst behaviors either you've had in your life or that you've witnessed from other people come from people that are impatient? If you see something on the highway that's just like going as fast as they can to get to work, they're in a bad mood. If you're in a line and someone's impatient, or if you're at a restaurant and someone's impatient with how the service is going, or impatient with how somebody's talking with them, impatience, so the flip side of patience, impatience, brings out the worst behavior and vices in individuals. And so that's where, because we're in stage 2 for so long, we're in stage 2 until we're not out of stage 2, until we're in stage 3, we're just in it. We're in it. Can we be patient and at the same time, persistent. At the same time, still keep taking action. So with enough patience does come success. Remember, stage 2, go again. Do it, learn, go again. Do it, learn, go again. Do it, learn, go again. And so we have to, and I talk about this a lot too, of just time. When you feel time, that means there's a creeping up of this impatience. And when you feel time, this is when we're going to start to lean into the 50% of maybe no. And when we feel this time, and when we're in this 50% of maybe no, this is when the negative emotions come up, this bad behavior that we have noticed. So what can we start to do to start cultivating patience? And so much of this is just kind of, this is where people talk about alignment, I'd say. And alignment out there, it's a lot of people talk about alignment as just when you're in alignment, you are in flow, in fluff, yay, yay, yay. It's all happening so easily and you feel good and blah, blah, blah. And this is the one piece that I think is misconstrued, is that we are always in alignment. But what we're in alignment with, that's the question. When we're in alignment with our vision of our dream, of our life, when we're in alignment with that, when we're walking on that rope, that tight rope, I like to visualize it as, so my dad is a football coach, and so he used to, I don't even know if they do this, a red pointer. You know, the ones that you like have and you can drive your cats crazy with them. So he'd have a red pointer and you'd point to the screen. And so I like to think of alignment as like truly it's where you're currently at in life. You point the screen at what you want. And then there's this red line that all you have to do is just kind of keep focusing on where you want to go. So again, rule number 1, have a vision for your life, and walking on this red line is alignment. And when we start, and whether or not we're on this alignment path, the way that we know if we are if we're making the correct steps on this right path of alignment, it's based on our emotions. If we feel good, we're on the right path. If we don't, we're not on the right path. So there comes a little bit of a level of emotional intelligence, an understanding of whether or not of am I frustrated right now? Am I being pushed? Is this discomfort, or am I being challenged in the right way that I need to be? There comes a level of emotional intelligence and tapping into our emotion that we do need to start to go with. And this is where, again, it's just when we're starting to walk on this rope of alignment, this red line of alignment, it's being patient with ourselves and just walk. It's just going on a walk. Versus, again, this time coming into play. And when the time comes in, the time crunch, when we're starting to get a little bit more impatient, that's one of the signs that we're actually stepping off of that red line. Because when we feel impatient, we feel like we just stepped into the maybe no, this isn't going to happen. Because we're like, it's not happening fast enough. So that's one of your biggest signs of, am I walking in alignment with my vision of my life? Are you feeling impatient? And if you're feeling impatient, it's like, okay, I need to start having and adding on patience here. Another reason why this is so important is also too of just managing our physical body and our stress responses and being in this fight or flight state. We cannot heal anything. We cannot generate the energy that we are fully capable, that we have the full potential of, if we are constantly in this fight or flight state. If we are putting our body into feeling a sense of unsafeness. This is where we just have to trust the path that we've walked on and learn how to regulate our nervous system so we aren't in this fight or flight state. Because it really is, it's like you don't have the amount of energy on the long road for consistency, for like to be as persistent, to be on top of it as much as we have the potential to be when our nervous system is completely out of whack. When we're going from this flight or fright, this chronic stressed out state, we're like just we're almost walking, and we just put on a really heavy backpack to make our walk way harder, or we're walking through mud. Have you ever walked through mud? Lost a shoe. That's what it's like when your nervous system just isn't in a calm state, in a regulated state. The last part, and I didn't mention this before, but what I really did like about how Brendon Burchard talked about this is he called it the peaceful warrior. And I really liked that. I felt like it's, again, we talk about, you and me. If you've listened to a few of the podcast episodes, we've talked about this balance of feminine and masculine energy. And I do like number 4. I think the number 4 rule is just to really walk with masculine and feminine energetics, the peaceful warrior, the at peace version of ourselves, the one that's fulfilled, the one that receives and has gratitude and just is loving on life. That's our feminine energy, the peaceful. And then we got the warrior, the one that's going to do. So I love number 4 really is just kind of this reminder of the rule of how we do life is figuring out how to balance our feminine and masculine energies so that it works so well for us to be in stage 2 until we're in stage 3. And then when we have another stage 3 that we want to hit, another vision of our life, we know how to cultivate this peaceful warrior in us that is so like, I'm just imagining this version of us that's just like running through the forest and I don't know, like doing all these combat things and almost like this is so nerdy of me. I don't know why this is coming. But if you ever watched Avatar, the Airbender, I don't know why this one's coming to me. This is something that I watched when I was a kid. But it's like every episode, they're just in tune with nature, in tune with their power. And every episode, they'd be like at peace, but then also like fight. I should edit this part out. It doesn't make sense. Okay, let's just go to the last rule. My favorite one. So number 5 is, and I'm going to read my notes directly. It's love and respect others playing the same game is critical to our destiny. So love and respect others playing the same game. To have tolerance and allow people to follow their own path, be kind, and have a zest for life. When we see people that are walking the same path, we find just more, instead of just looking at them and judging them or making people feel bad for their choices or just comparing ourselves to them, it's how can we look at what they're doing in their life, whether good or bad, and have it add some zest into our life. Seeing power in people. Again, whether or not they are living in an alignment in a way that you are like, I like the way that they're living that way, instead of comparing them or instead of looking at them, and this is what we talked about last week, looking at them and if they are a leader, breaking them down if they're not perfect. Instead of doing that, it's like, how can I look at your power and see my power in that as well? If I acknowledge you and I admire the things that you're doing, that I have too. And that can give me more energy, more belief in that I have the capability to get into that 50% of maybe yes. And at the same time too, it's, can we look at people that aren't doing life the way that we like, instead of blaming, shaming, and faulting them, that can add to our gratitude of where we're currently at in our life. That can add to, oh, I used to be like that, or I'm so glad I didn't spiral into there. This is where I talk about, and the things that I would add is this number 5 is a big one of just kind of embodying this practice of I am the one. I am the one to do this. And by me being the one, it doesn't mean that it doesn't detract you being the one either. In fact, if I'm the one, that means that you can be the one too. The one to do this, the one to have this, the one to have this level of success, the one to have this vision. If I'm the one, you are also the one. Because if I can do it, you can do it. And this is one of the things that kind of, and this was going to be a masterclass, and I didn't do this masterclass just yet because there was a lot to it, but a big thing about claiming that you are the one, claiming this inner confidence, claiming this power, the way for us to really start to embody this practice is to start seeing it in other people. When we are going, and let me break this down a little bit. We just talked about having a vision for your life. We talked about having the belief that you can do it. We talked about what it looks like to really generate our emotions into the 50% of maybe, yes, this is going to happen. And we talked about being patient. How could we hold the belief that this is possible if every other person you either look at and you say, she can't do this, he can't do this, you look at them in a negative way, or you look at them and you say, and you compare yourself to them and you're like, I can't do that. Let's go with the first part of you look at other people and you're like, they can't do it. What benefit is that going to do for you other than give yourself a little bit of an ego boost? But at the end of the day, doesn't it actually just reflect what you think is true about you? Versus what if you actually started to see people and loved and respect on others and saw them of, they can do it. I see you. We all want to be seen and we all want to feel like we matter. We all want that. And we're all looking for other people to tell us that. Yet what if like right now you claimed it as like, I see myself, I matter. I know that nobody else can take that away from me. And then because you held that as your truth, what if you could see other people and be like, if I can hold this belief in me, then they can hold this belief in me. Versus what we end up doing sometimes is we look at somebody and we're like, either they can't do it, or we say, if they are doing it, they're like, I can't ever do that. I can't do that. Yet sometimes if they're a good person, if we haven't gone back into our motherhood wound and taken their leadership and broke their down from their perfection, if we haven't done that just yet, we look and we're like, oh, if they can do it, I can do it. They can do it, I can do it. What would life look like if everybody you looked at, you broke down everything that was getting in the way of you seeing people for their power, and you just honored and respected them? That's how you become the one for so many people. You want validation from other people to tell you that you're the one? You have to see them as they're the one first. Because that's how, isn't it? Think about all the individuals that are so important in your life. Whether that's your mom, your sister, your grandma, your husband. Why are they so important for you? Is it because of their job? Is it because like they've just been around so long, so it's like I just have to name some important people? No. It's the way that they make you feel about yourself that makes them important. They make you feel better about you that makes them important. So if we want to be the one for other people, if we want to have influence in leadership, not only do we have to have it to be the belief that we are the one for us, but the way that we have influence or become important to other people, it's not about the things that you do. It's not about the accolades. It's about, are you seeing and respecting and honoring and loving them? Because is that not true that the people that you respect the most and find so important and love with all your heart are the individuals that have seen and honored and respected and that loved you for you? What would life look like? What would your life look like if you started to do that for other people? And not at the detriment of yourself, These are 5 rules. This isn't just number 5 and just go with number 5. Because if you don't have a vision for your life, if you don't have this belief, if you don't inherently know that you're the one first, you can go with this and be like the martyr and the victim and just like, I have to just make sure everybody's seen, but like, I don't even like myself. It's not the way. It's not the way. And also, how horrible would you feel if you love your grandma so much because she makes you feel like you're on top of the world, and then you later found out that she despised herself, that she had such self-hatred for her, for who she was. She looked at her body and she absolutely hated her body. She just didn't like she didn't have any belief in herself. How sad would that make you feel? How heartbreaking would that be if you found out that somebody that you love so much felt so awful about themselves? Why would you do that to somebody then? If you don't feel confident about who you are, if you don't feel love for yourself, if you have these moments of self-hatred, these moments of self-doubt, these moments of frustration with yourself, just you are doing, and if you're not claiming that you are the one, and you are hurting the people that have found you to be so important to them. And if I found out, and again, this is not a conversation that I've had with my grandma, but if I found out that she had debilitating belief in herself, but she then would have a conversation with me and she'd just talk about how proud of me she is and how much she loves me. And that made me feel good. And that like put me on such a high. And I walked a little bit more with confidence. And then I found out that she had debilitating love for herself. I would feel like I took something away from her. I would be like, oh my, like, grandma, I didn't want to give back to you. How do I make you feel so much better? You make me feel so much love. How do I make you feel so much better? I'd feel awful. One is the way to make someone feel so good about themselves is to see them, respect them, honor them, love on them. Because again, the reason why I love my grandma is she makes me feel so good about me. So if you want other people to feel so good about them, if you're like, oh, Katie's grandma, I need to go make her like love herself. Let's honor and respect people. And at the same time too, it's just as important to love and honor and respect ourselves at the same time, because how awful would that feel to be on the other end of receiving love and honor and respect from somebody that absolutely was like crippling in self-hatred, just overthinking, having anxiousness. For me, for you, for us, me matters first. If I sit here and I hate myself, but I honor and I see you and I love on you, and then you find out that I just have such low confidence, that relationship, what I gave you, the confidence that I gave you, it'll be tainted a little bit. Does that make sense? Do you see the difference of we have to honor and respect other people, and at the same time too, that means that we have to honor and respect ourselves too. We have to claim ourselves to be the one, and then showcase and honor and respect and see other people, and they'll become the one, and then they'll see you as the one, and we all collectively rise as we are the one, and that's confidence, and that's leadership, and that's what I'm talking about. So those are the 5 rules of life. And I added a little bit of what I've learned over the last couple of years. This is something that if you can just start to bring this in to a daily practice, these 5 things. And if it's too much to do the 5 things, start with number 1. Have vision for your life. Create a context for your life. And if you'd like to listen to Brendon Burchard's episode, I will link it below. Otherwise, I hope this is all I have for you. And I hope this week takes your breath away because you're starting to walk in vision, in alignment, in a context towards your life goal, your dream, your vision beyond the problem. All right. I love you. Mwah. Hey there. Thank you so much for listening. My goal is to help as many women listening, and if this episode supported you in any way, the very best way to show your appreciation is by simply screenshotting this episode and sharing on your social media or with your friends. Or even better, drop a review on whatever platform you are listening on. Don't forget, if you are looking for any additional support, you can always reach me on Instagram at Katie Christ. See you back here next week.